I'm Melissa Shanahan, and this is the Velocity Work Podcast, episode number 130. This podcast is for attorneys who are running their own firms. We explore tactics, tools, and stories related to pushing past simply lawyering well and into building a successful firm. Working in your firm and working on your business are two very different things. This podcast focuses on the latter. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I'm so glad you're here for this week's episode. Today, I'm doing something a little bit different than I normally do. We have this coaching program called Mastery Group, which is awesome. It's all centered around strategic planning and executing and honoring the plan. There's a good sense of community. There's accountability and support. It's just wonderful. And it's such a privilege and an honor to work with the law firm owners in the program. They make strides and learn lessons constantly. It's awesome. Well, we have a Facebook group for that coaching program, and something was posed recently, and I decided to do a response through video for that person, and I'm going to sum it up here. I'm sharing it because I know that this person isn't alone in how they're thinking, and it's going to be useful. I'm hoping that my response to her, the gist of the message to her, will be useful. And so I'm posting it here, I'm making it public for the podcast for all of you to think about as well. The author of the post says, I greatly dislike the HR component of having a law firm. And that's it. That's all the post said. There actually isn't even a period, which just speaks to the exhaustion that they're probably experiencing. Then someone commented, said, say more. I want to talk real talk about being owners. Fear of many things, but especially HR has kept me from growing. The author responded and said, dealing with expectations and meeting billing requirements. Employee not having enough stuff done in a day, so I have to do more grunt work than I want to meet the standards I set for the client turnaround. Then she went on to say, I want another me, and it is impossible to find. Someone that has the pride and the need to get things done now rather than later. So that's it so far. As I'm recording this, that's what's been written here. And I thought about responding written comment, and I just couldn't figure out a way to say this succinctly and get my point across and really for it to be received. So I did a video response. And here's the gist of it. Here's what I said. This sentence, the one that stood out the most to me, I want another me, and it is impossible to find. That statement is not a true statement. You know how I know that's true? I mean, really, if someone were going to hand you another version of you, like another you in your firm, that'd be very difficult to manage. That would be very difficult to deal with. Sure, there'd be good qualities, but there'd be qualities that would be extremely difficult. You'd be butting heads. It's another you, right? You don't want another you. We tell ourselves this. I'm sure many of you can relate to this. I want another me, and it is impossible to find is something that's so easy to believe, but I want to challenge all of you here. And even though it may sound harsh, it's lazy to believe. Challenge what your brain is serving up. This thought, this belief, I want another me, and it is impossible to find. If you could sit down with your notebook and come up with all the reasons that this is not actually the truth, come up with them, because there are reasons this is not the truth. I want another me, and it's impossible to find. And some people say, well, yeah, but you get what I mean. But that's what I mean when I say it's the easiest, it's the path of least resistance just to serve up that thought. And so that's what I mean by it's lazy. It's just default. That's okay. That's normal. That's human that we have default thinking. But your job to grow and develop and really push past your own barriers and your own limitations is to have a look at what your brain is serving up to you. And when it is on default mode, how do you be onto yourself with that and state things, be more articulate with the truth? Because this is not the truth. It's close. Maybe there's some elements of it that are true, but this is not the truth. I want another me, and it is impossible to find. If any of you listening have that thought and buy into that thought, sit down with a piece of paper and a pen, and I want you to think of all the reasons why that sentence is not true. It will start to open up and create wiggle room in your brain to see things another way, to have another perspective that can be more useful for the situation that you are in right now, for the set of circumstances that you're experiencing right now. The other things in this thread that stood out to me, let's see. I have to do more grunt work than I want to meet the standards that I set for client turnaround. Now, listen, you have an opportunity here. Again, this is just coming back to you. Keep the focus on you and evaluating you in this equation. There's multiple things that you have choices on here. You have choices on the standards that you set for client turnaround. Now, the standards that you set, you may decide to keep. I'm not saying that you need to change your standards, but it's worth having a look at because oftentimes we're on default with those as well. Get off of default mode. That's the biggest thing I want to say in this podcast. The turnaround time that you set for clients, can you adjust that? Is that an option? Is it a viable option? And is it an option that wouldn't really affect the outcomes for your business? I have worked with plenty of law firm owners that squeeze themselves so tight and the client really doesn't care. The client wants to know that things are being dealt with. They want to know that they're being taken care of. They want to know that they aren't falling off your radar or slipping between the cracks, of course. But the actual turnaround time, are you promising something that you don't need to promise? What do they really want? And tune into that. And maybe there's ways that you can stop shooting yourself in the foot by over-promising something that's unnecessary. So that's the first thing I would say. And I don't know if that's true for this particular client. That may not be the case. They may need to have that client turnaround that they've set. It needs to be that way for a very specific reason, but question it and be on to yourself. Don't just buy into defaults or this idea of perfection. Now, on the flip side, I have to do more grunt work than I want to in order to meet these standards. If you reset the client expectations, still with really high quality customer service, then there's an opportunity there for you to be able to not just do the grunt work because you have to keep a promise you made to your client. There's a little flex there to help train and put the responsibility back on the attorney, and you feel like it's not going to puncture the business or, hurt the business. You give yourself space to actually evolve and do things in a different way and train your team to be able to replace some of the work that you're doing, not be you, but replace you in the work that's getting done by giving yourself some space from the client expectation standpoint. That's my thoughts there. Dealing with expectations and meeting billing requirements. So meeting billing requirements, there is an opportunity there to really work with the person on billing requirements. I have had so many conversations lately with owners and dealing with the expectations of their associates and or other lawyers in the firm. They have these expectations in terms of production, right? Producing for the firm. And that's important. Like those need to be there. You're a business. We all need to know. We need guides to help us understand where we are in terms of success within our job. You get to decide what that looks like. You are the owner, and working with that person can be, in some cases, really useful and fruitful as a partnership, working with that attorney to determine what those are. We could do a whole podcast on that someday. But my point here is meeting billing requirements is a separate issue from them meeting the standards on client turnaround. It's sort of like piecing that out and being able to decide, make a decision around client turnaround and setting client expectations, and then also setting expectations and dealing with the associate that's working for you or paralegal or whoever's producing for you. What was very clear in this post is that, okay, fair. This is a bit of a mess in their brain, just like it is for all of us when we're experiencing a barrier and we feel like we're hitting walls. It feels like a mess in our brain. And so you kind of have to do a brain download, which this post enabled her to do. She got things out of her brain and put them in this post. And you could do that in your notebook, right? You don't have to do it in a post, but you totally could because it's a supportive community and we'll all work together to help support one another and help lift each other up and hold each other to a standard of seeing where we might be not telling ourselves the truth. So if you get this brain download out of your head and onto paper or into a post or et cetera, then you can see sentences that are not true. It's just what your brain is serving up to you. And it allows you to really question what your brain is serving up, which is good. Like really try to defend the other side, the opposite belief, just to see what comes out of your brain, right? It's creating wiggle room in your brain to have a different perspective. And then the same thing is you'll be able to pluck certain sentences that you can identify or spot as like, oh, that's super passive. That's just me being at the whim of the world. And I know that that's never the case. Like I'm not at the whim of the world. So how else can I think about this? Like how else can I create some space from this? Because this isn't serving me. This is just keeping me stuck. So you'll be able to find the sentences that are the culprits. It's because it all comes down to how you're thinking about it. It all comes down to your perspective. And the reason I know that's true is because you can give two people the exact same set of circumstances and it will be handled extremely differently. And one will likely be more successful than the other, however you define success. And the same set of circumstances. It really does come down to how you're thinking about it, your perspective, and how you think about it and the perspective you have allows you to have a different level, a different kind of solutions that could be really useful versus being stuck in a way of thinking that's just keeping you sort of at the whim of the world and feeling defeated. Now, this is all just to help each one of you who are experiencing some sort of frustration, like that level of frustration where you're tired and you want to stop. You don't want to deal with it. You don't see a path forward that makes any kind of sense. It's because it's all messy in your head and it seems bigger than what it is because there's 100 thoughts happening in your head. Some about judgment on the person that you're dealing with, some about what's possible for you in the firm, some about what you're capable of as an owner. There's all kinds of thoughts. It's a mess in your head and you have to do a download. And when you can do a download, immediately you will feel better. But then on top of just getting it out of your head, because you'll create space in your brain, you'll be able to identify the culprits of why you feel like such crap. Because it is not the external circumstances that make you feel like crap. It is our perspective. It is how we're thinking about things. It's our own judgment on self or others. It's our own belief about what's possible. You have to get it out of your head. And by doing that, you free up some space. And does it mean that a light switch is going to go on and you have a solution that's going to kick in and be perfect tomorrow? No, absolutely not. That's not how this stuff works. But what will happen is that you'll create some wiggle room and you'll just see this little thread, this little glimmer of light that you can point to and say, you know what? I could do that differently and better. And it would probably help me get a different result, more in line with what I would like. And then there's this thread over here. I could do that differently. I could create something to help serve as a solution for my employee. I could have a conversation, set a regular meeting for communication about it. And maybe you're already doing that because I can hear some of you. You're going to say, I already do that. Okay, what else could you do? Look in the mirror and look more so. Yes, look into the mirror, but peer into your brain and examine the way that you're thinking about this. How can you just pivot by 1 degree on your perspective? Because that will open you up to see a different lane, to see a different light. That's important. No matter what you may be dealing with right now, whether it's an HR thing or something different, but an issue or a barrier you're experiencing in your firm, I really hope that this episode helped you turn the channel, turn the dial just a bit and be able to see something different. Be on to yourself and want to seek the truth of a given situation, not just believe what your brain is serving up. This awareness is key. From a place of awareness, then you have power to be able to pivot or see something differently, which in turn will create an entirely different feeling state inside of you. And from that feeling state, you will want to take a different set of actions and you will see more actions available to you than what you could see before. And that will create a different result for you than what you could have created for yourself before. It all starts with your thinking. So use this short episode that I've provided here today to help you remove the logjam that needs to be removed mentally so that you can have a different perspective, create a better feeling state, take stronger, more congruent action with the things you actually want, and line yourself up with the results that you're after. Have a wonderful week, everyone. I'll see you here next Tuesday. Hey there, if you enjoyed this podcast, I highly recommend you come and check out Mastery Group. It is where owner attorneys come together to study this material, apply it, and thus create really big results for their firm and for their life. So come on over, velocitywork.com/join to get more information and get started. Show notes from this episode can be found at velocitywork.com/podcast.